Okay guys, hey, guess what, man? I finished all my sewing. It's actually come out a lot better than I thought. See, it's like right there I messed up a bit, but that'll actually be hidden underneath the seat. Now, I put felt, I put black felt underneath this. This is glued down. Now, what I'm thinking of doing, that's right where I want the seam. This is right where the top of the seat curves. Now, once I glue this down, you're going to see like a little hump there from the French seam underneath there. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to buy some real thin cotton batting, probably I think a half-inch thick will work. And we're going to glue the cotton batting down to the black felt underneath here. Then we'll glue this down to the cotton batting. So what that'll do is that'll bring that out a little bit so you won't see that. Here, let me pause it a minute and I'll tuck the sides in, give you guys an idea. Now I have lines underneath here and a line underneath the seat so I can line it up, but that'll be up there like that. See, so that'll show, and then you'll have a little bit of the side showing, and we'll pause this a second. Okay. I tucked the sides in them. That's right where the seams are going to end at. That's how they'll go on that side and that side. This is the tricky part to get this centered, because once you glue it down, it's permanent. Once it's glued down, so the way you glue something like this down is you make sure it's centered, you make sure the material's right where you want it, and then you peel this back and you glue this down first, and you let that dry for about an hour. Even though the glue sets almost immediately, I still like for it to dry at least an hour. And once that's dry, then you glue this down. You wait for that to dry for about an hour, even till the next day. And then you heat the sides up with your with my heat gun over there. You spray the sides and you glue the sides down. Then you let that dry. Then underneath here, we'll staple it to underneath here. And then we'll get some black felt that'll be glued down to the bottom of this, and that'll hide all the staplings. This was originally riveted in. I can get away with riveting. I don't really have to rivet it. But the main trick is to get this thing centered, because once it's glued down, see, like right now, it's not really centered. It has to go over a little bit. Well, that's the main trick, to get it centered, because I want this right in the center. So I have to go to the material store tomorrow and buy some batting. I have no batting here. And so I have the choice of having this seam up here or down here. Okay, so what I did was I gave this enough material so that I can move it around and adjust it. Now this is with the seam down here a little bit. So this is right where the turn is. That's right where the turn is. And I dropped the seam down. I dropped it down about a full inch. You know, and it really doesn't matter where the seam is. By dropping it down, your sides will be tucked in a lot earlier. The sides will be tucked into about like that. So the sides will come in, disappear down here. So that probably won't look good. What we'll do is, let me pause this and we'll move the seam above the edge. Okay guys, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with it like that. We're going to put the seam on top of the edge, because here's the edge right here. So the edge is like right here, and the seam will be on top of there. So the seam will actually go on that side of the edge, because the edge is here. I think that's what we'll do. I think that's how that's, because that's actually all the seats you see on Big Dogs, that's how they really are. And even though this is a custom seat, it still has to be like that. I could even move this to where I have enough of the chocolate vinyl up here, as you see, to where I could even have this whole thing covering to up here. And you'll see just like a little bit of here, but that won't look good. That won't look too good. I think we're going to set it like that. So what you'll see is, you'll see that. You know, I think I made a good decision by putting the chocolate as the main part. I will tell you though, making all these little stitches, these are all back stitches. They're all back stitched. It hurt my hand, you know, and this is actually the first French seam I ever did in my life. Usually what I'll do is I'll just cover the whole seat with one piece of material, you know, a simple seat. But this is the first one I've sewed, and it come out a lot better than I thought it would. I'm happy with it. Even though it's not perfect, I know I did it. It's handmade, and for me that's actually better than if I would have paid someone $600-700 to do this. So my next step now, guys, we're going to go to Joann Fabrics and buy some batting, and then we'll glue this down.